We have a situation where Harry has announced that he's going to come over with his children. They're going to accept a royal house and all the security that comes with it. And then we learn, oh no, he hasn't actually accepted it at all. And he's now saying, well, actually, if I don't have security, I can't bring the children. Look, the circus has been built. The tent has been built. The plot of land is there. Are we going to get our performers coming over? Is anyone going to pay to see them?
Well, this row is not logistical. That's certainly how the Sussexes are painting it, and their relentless, ruthless public relations machine, that this is logistics, it's about safety. It isn't. It's political, and it's family politics. And what Harry and Meghan, I think, have identified is an historic opportunity to get that 24/7 armed security whenever they're in the UK, and potentially with that precedent set when they're overseas. So they've got King Charles over a barrel because we know that he wants to see his grandchildren. And the wider aspect of this is that you cannot do business with the Sussexes, because if you try to have an arrangement where you're generous, you say this trip is going to happen with our blessing, that's the palace. We will even provide royal accommodation, and it's most likely Charles will meet his grandchildren. There will be photographs and all the rest of it. Even having rolled out that red carpet, you've got trouble, and that is classic Sussex.
Classic Sussex. Classic, there's a great line. It is classic Sussex. It feels like classic Sussex. It feels like Meg's it all over again with all this toing and froing. Bronte, on Friday night, do you remember, we were given an op note?
Exactly.
This is what's going to happen. They're going to come over with guaranteed that the children are coming over, Meghan's coming over, this is where we're going. But they also said in that op note, oh, by the way, we don't actually have security yet. And then, within 24 hours or 48 hours, they suddenly changed their mind and said, oh, now it's all up in the air because, as we knew yesterday, we don't have security. Do you think they have ever had any intention to come along with the children, any intention to see this op note out, or is it just classic Sussex games?
Well, here's the thing. You used the word circus before, and I think that is the perfect word for it. I was staggered by the turn of events that happened over the weekend. It is staggering to me that when there has clearly been this reputational rehab push in Britain, and everything was laid out a couple of weeks ago, and the plans were in place for them to come over here, and there was going to be all this big promotional blitz for the Invictus Games, and of course the reconciliation, which was obviously going to happen between the children and Charles. For this to then come apart so quickly and in such a catastrophic way, no matter what happens now, and I do believe that they're still coming over, the information we have is that they are still coming.
So the current situation, just to be clear, I mean, I'll have to check my phone in a minute, it might change in 5 minutes,
Exactly.
But they're still sticking by that op note on Friday night that it's all going to go ahead with the children, but yeah, sorry.
Yes, it is confirmed until it's not.
Yeah.
But with that said, it is already a disaster now. This is now the story.
Right.
No matter what happens, we're days away from their planned arrival, and it is now a disaster. And the thing is, Harry has played, this is the part that staggers me, he has played so clearly into the hands of his biggest critics, because all that they are ever accused of by people that they're detractors is this is emotional blackmail, there's a circus around you, everything has to be very dramatic, it's a soap opera. Whether you believe that or not, the optics are, well, what is this? This is exactly what it looks like. I don't think he's emotionally blackmailing his father, if I can be, to be frank. I think he's being emotional. I think he's reacting to information he got at the end of last week. But it doesn't matter whether he's doing that or not. It's exactly what it looks like.
Well, the critics...
Have you noticed something? Whenever Prince Harry makes a decision, it's somehow always the wrong one, at least according to certain sections of the British media. If he visits the UK, he's accused of seeking attention. If he stays away, he's accused of abandoning his family. If he speaks about security, he's called dramatic. If he says nothing, commentators speculate on his motives anyway. That's exactly why I wanted to discuss this latest media panel, because what we're witnessing isn't just a debate over security. It's a masterclass in narrative building. Throughout this discussion, words like circus, classic Sussex, emotional blackmail and transactional were thrown around repeatedly. Those are powerful phrases, but here's the problem. They're opinions, not evidence. No one on that panel can actually know what conversations Harry has had with his father behind closed doors. No one knows the precise intelligence assessments his security advisors receive. Yet many of the conclusions presented sounded remarkably certain. That certainty deserves scrutiny. Let's start with the biggest accusation, that Harry is somehow using his children as leverage to force the palace into giving him police protection. It's an attention-grabbing headline, but where is the proof? Parents routinely make decisions based on what they believe is safest for their children. You don't have to agree with Harry's assessment to acknowledge that a father prioritizing security is hardly an extraordinary concept. Remember, Harry didn't suddenly invent concerns about security this week. For years, he has been engaged in legal proceedings over the level of protection provided when he visits Britain. Whether people agree with his legal arguments or not, the fact that this issue has been before the courts demonstrates that it is a genuine dispute, not a publicity stunt invented overnight. That context matters. Another claim repeated throughout the discussion is that Harry and Meghan are constantly creating drama. But here's a question worth asking. Who is actually creating the 24-hour news cycle? Harry and Meghan didn't organise a televised panel dissecting every possible family interaction. They didn't spend hours speculating about motives. Media outlets did. The irony is difficult to ignore. The very commentators criticising the circus are often among those selling tickets to it. Every headline, every panel discussion, every debate extends the story, and then the same outlets point to the attention as evidence that Harry and Meghan somehow thrive on controversy. That's a convenient cycle. One of the most striking moments came when commentators confidently described Meghan as transactional and suggested that any visit to Britain must be driven by branding. Again, where is the evidence? Public figures can have multiple motivations at once. Harry can genuinely want his children to know their grandfather while also supporting the Invictus Games. Meghan can support charitable work while continuing to build her professional career. These ideas aren't mutually exclusive. Yet when it comes to the Sussexes, every charitable appearance is often reframed as marketing. Every family decision becomes a strategy, and every disagreement becomes a conspiracy. That says as much about the lens through which they're viewed as it does about the couple themselves. Another interesting contradiction emerged during the discussion. Several commentators argued that Harry's fears can't be genuine because he travels internationally. But risk isn't identical everywhere. Security planning depends on specific threat assessments, locations, event profiles, and intelligence available to authorities. The fact that someone travels safely in one country does not automatically determine the level of protection they may seek in another. Whether Harry's preferred arrangements should be granted is a legitimate subject for debate. Mocking the existence of those concerns is something entirely different. What also stood out was how quickly speculation became accepted as fact. Phrases like "I think," "it feels like," and "probably" gradually transformed into sweeping conclusions about Harry's marriage, Meghan's intentions, and even the future of their family relationships. That's a reminder for all of us to separate evidence from inference. Healthy commentary asks questions. Responsible journalism distinguishes verified information from opinion. When those lines blur, audiences deserve to be cautious. Ultimately, this latest controversy reflects a broader pattern. The Sussexes have become symbols onto which people project their own narratives. For supporters, they're reformers challenging outdated institutions. For critics, they're perpetual troublemakers. Reality is usually more nuanced than either extreme. Whether you admire Harry and Meghan or disagree with some of their choices, it's worth asking whether the conversation remains fair when assumptions consistently replace facts. That's the standard we should expect, not just for the Sussexes, but for anyone in public life. Because once opinion is repeatedly presented with the confidence of certainty, viewers stop being informed and start being persuaded without realizing it. And that's a far bigger story than another headline about royal family drama.